Hello guys, this is Jay Sector, and for this weekend's video, I want to do one about Destiny, the Taken King expansion. Talk about it, see if it's worth buying it or not. I've kind of had mixed emotions on this topic from the start. There are a lot of good things coming with the Taken King expansion that I think will improve gameplay experience in Destiny a lot, and I want to be excited. But the original game left such a bad taste in my mouth that I'm super reserved about the Taken King and getting excited for it. But anyway, let's talk about what's coming. And you can see in the video that they've made some of this content available in the new patch, the 2.0 patch, that you can kind of get a whet your appetite for it. You can kind of get an idea of what it is. But first up, let's talk about the fact that they're adding a new subclass for each of the classes. Currently in the game, from what I've seen, it's not in the patch, the 2.0 patch, but from what I've seen on the streams that Bungie's done, it doesn't look like they're drastically redoing any of the classes. Just adding another subclass. So you got two, you're going to get a third. I don't see any huge big game changing thing here like most people see. All the gameplay that I've seen, it's just another subclass to level up. You get a hammer if you're a Titan, you get a bow if you're a hunter, and you get lightning fingers if you're a warlock. So that's about the extent of that. It's going to be the same thing as what's already out there. Now, next we can hit on the topic of the changes to the light and leveling system, which is probably one of the biggest changes that are coming in, and most people are excited about this. But in all honesty, I really just think that this is the way they intended for the light system to be day one. All they changed about the light was that it now doesn't give you a full level boost of stats. It just goes by your average now. So it'll give you a modest power boost. The higher your average of your attack and your defense, the more of a modest power boost you're going to have, which you're generally going to be stronger anyways with the stronger equipment, but it's going to give you a modest power boost instead of giving you a huge level worth of stats, you know, like it used to. So from now on, you won't get like 57 light from an arm piece. You're going to get, you know, your arm's going to have a defense of 130, so it's going to have an average of 130 or whatever the rest of your armor adds up to. So it's going to average it out. You won't get it from one piece. Now the next thing to talk about is, you know, what I fear is going to end up being all hype. Now they say that they're changing the whole loot system. They're changing the game with manufacturers. I don't feel like this is going to be the case at all. I think it'll make a little bit of a difference when you're leveling alt, maybe. When you're leveling an alt, I think those manufacturers will change the green guns and the things you get when you level up. But at the end of the game, when you're doing that exotics, when you're getting those purples, when you're doing the harder activities, I don't think those manufacturers are going to matter at all. I think, you know, this is going to bring up the fact that they're adding exotics to world drops, and I don't see the manufacturers are going to affect that at all. They say that they're adding 12 to 13 exotics in the game with the new expansion, unless they only add 4 of them. And each one of the 3 manufacturers that they've named, I think there's 3, and they each do their own take on that exotic that they've made. I don't see the manufacturers matter. And if that is the case, if the manufacturers get their own take on the exotics, then that's really a cheap way of saying we got 12 to 13 exotics when really you only have 4. So I'm hoping actually that the manufacturers don't really matter, but I'm really hoping that those things don't matter. Next on the hype train that I really fear that they're touting is the new playable area, the Dreadnought. Now they're touting this as it being a whole extra planet that will provide multiple hours of gameplay instead of taking the lead from the past expansions where they added little to nothing at all and just had you playing the same areas that you already had. We've had this happen before, and they've shown strikes, but no patrols, anything like that. No map, so the jury's still out. There's no real indication how big the Dreadnought is actually going to be or how many hours it's going to last. But along the same token, they're claiming that they have a renewed focus on storytelling and that they now have this new scanning mechanic that tells you more about the things in the world around you, and it's really a way of integrating that dreaded Grimoire system that no one liked in the first place. Whoever came up with that was a horrible idea. Who wants to quit a game that they're playing, that they're having a lot of fun with, to go to a website to read stuff about the game so that they can come back and actually understand what's happening instead of, which there's some great things in those Grimoire cards, don't get me wrong, but it should be included in the game. You shouldn't have to go to a website, which Destiny has this weird thing of liking, but we'll get into a little bit more detail on that later. I've seen the cutscenes. They're exactly the same. At least from what I've seen, they're exactly the same. And the dialogue is word for word the same. That's why you see these comparisons of the Dinklebot and North's version of the Ghost. So that's why you see those out there. They're word for word the same things. Now they're also adding 3 to 4 strikes, which is great, seeing as you only got 1 in the other expansions. And they are redoing the older strikes, but this is where another thing that I think is going to get lost in translation, because they say that they're redoing them, but from what I've seen, it looks like they're just replacing the base enemy. So one time you run the strike, it's going to end up being Fallen, and then the next time it'll be Hive, and then the next time it'll be Cabal. Now what doesn't change in this is the loot table. You're not going to get any like special loot or anything different every time you run it. The bosses seem to be the same from what I've seen, and things like that don't seem to change at all. So in the grand scheme of things, redoing them is a weird word, because you're just changing the enemy types that you're fighting in it. So I don't see that being the same. So that's not going to end up being a big deal. But now for most players, it's about the PvP, which they have recently let people try with the new 2.0 patch. Some of the maps, some of the playlists that they're adding. Mayhem is the new mode, and some of the maps, but Mayhem is really not gonna take off, I don't think. It's a game mode where your grenades, your supers, your melees, all your recharges basically are shortened. You're buffed and you recharge a lot faster. Now overall, I'm not impressed with it at all. I played a few games yesterday of it, but I'm not really impressed with it at all. I think it's going to be a fun little distraction for most people. Casuals will probably eat it up, because you feel super bad when you're dropping, 3 supers and 2 lives, and you can throw grenades every 5 seconds. But other than that, there's no skill involved. It reverts to, grenade spamming and super spamming. Of course, that's kind of what it's designed to do. It's going to end up being a throwaway mode. But on to the maps. I've played all the maps there are to play that they've let you play from the Taken King. None of those stand out to me. Now, which really worries me for PvP, because if none of those stand out, those are probably the best ones that they have. That's why they put them out before the Taken King, to entice you to buy the Taken King. If the ones that they put out aren't any different, the ones that they haven't put out yet, I don't see being that great. I'm not the huge PvP fan, so you can take it for what it is. I'm not super excited about any of the changes they're making to the PvP. If you love the PvP now, you're going to love the PvP once it changes. I don't see much changing for you. You're going to get some new maps. That's about what you're going to get from what I see out of it anyway. But now finally, on to the things that I'm excited about for the Taken King expansion. We can talk about the questification that they say. That's what they call it, questification of things. They talk about it a lot in the streams, things like that. Now they're giving you more bounty slots, 16 I think total, and the quests are no longer in there. So you don't lose bounty slots to your quests. They have their own section. They're completely different now. You can track them. They're a lot easier to do. They're very easy, very streamlined now, so you don't have to, go around looking for things that you can't find, which was something I had problems with. You had to look up videos of where to find certain parts of the old quest, things like that, because they didn't track it. They just put you on a patrol mission and said find it, and you had no idea where to look. So the fact that they've streamlined this and made it real easy for people, great. I love that. That's something I've really wanted for a while. So they've taken some of the randomness out of getting the stuff that you want, and tell you what you need to do to get to what you want. That's also on those things. So when you do a quest now, it tells you what the reward's going to be. You don't have to guess. You don't have to go back to the tower or whatever, to see what the reward is. It's going to tell you right there in the quest description. So that's great. You don't have to wander around anymore, wondering what you're doing, if you're really improving your character, if you're doing what you're supposed to do. So all that stuff's laid out now. They're giving the gunsmith, which had no real purpose in the first year, they're giving him a larger role to entice players to try new weapons. The way it works is that when you get a gun from him and you go kill enough things to learn about the gun and bring it back to him, he's supposed to give you some kind of rewards. Now, they haven't discussed what those rewards are, and with the 2.0 patch, they do make the guns available to you. I've actually got the guns from him. I've went out and done the quest, but you can't turn them into him yet. So I'm not sure what the rewards are going to be, or if it's going to be worth it. It may just end up being like a side distraction, something that's not going to matter. Now, I hope it comes out as fun as it sounds, and it's kind of cool to play, but the guns that they've got available in the game right now are level 20. Now, that could just be because the Taken King stuff's not there, so I'm not going to judge it yet. But I'm hoping it's as cool as it sounds. Now, they are adding swords, new EQ slots, new places for equipment that we don't have yet. They're narrowing the armor materials down to only one type. So now whenever you're doing alts, if you've leveled up a Titan to 40 and you've got a ton of armor that you broke down and you don't need armor remnants or whatever anymore, you can use those now for leveling up an alt, a warlock or a hunter maybe you've always wanted to play. They've scrapped the Vanguard and Crucible marks, and they've turned them into new legendary marks. So now you don't have to grind out. If you like PvP or you like PvE, you can do what you want to do. You don't have to go to PvP specifically to do PvP stuff. You don't have to go to PvE stuff just to do PvE stuff. If you like strikes, do strikes. If you like PvP, do what you want to do. You're going to get those legendary marks. And they've taken the limit off them, so you can earn whatever you want. There's no limit. As far as what I know, there's no limit right now. So no more of that 200 Vanguard Crucible marks, the limit. They're now giving your ghosts perks and skills. It's going to help you find materials out in patrol quests. It's going to, help you with glimmer drops. It's going to increase your glimmer. Your class equipment now has stats instead of being strictly cosmetic, which sounds fantastic. Super good. I love when they give cosmetic stuff an actual skill or an actual stat boost or whatever you want to call it, because it makes you have a reason for wearing it. Other than that, I like cosmetic stuff when you're talking about the look of it, but I also like everything that I wear to have a stat or some reason to wear it. Otherwise, I don't see the purpose of having it. Now, like I said before, I think they're doing some good things with the Taken King. I really do. But I've been burned by Bungie one too many times on these expansion deals. They are really high on their own hype train. So I don't know how this is going to come out. It's really hard to tell what's going to matter, what's going to feel important when you get to that end game. And when you've been stung so many times in the past, thinking other things were cool concepts, like the Reef, like the multiple hours that they promised with the expansions, and they deliver the hollow shells of the promised content that they promised. It was horrible. Like the City of the Reef, like I said, the hours of gameplay that were advertised, and what they didn't tell you was that the Reef was a copy of the tower. It has a few extra things, but those people could have been added to the tower. There's no purpose for the Reef whatsoever. And the hours of content that they promised were really just back in the exact same places that you already had in the game. And I don't know if we're going to give them kudos for the fact that they're actually adding a lot of content this time. I think they're really adding a lot of content this time, but I think the first two expansions were really just pulled content from the original game. I think everything was done, ready to go. They pulled the content from the game and sold it as 2 expansion packs later, and they didn't make them cheap. They sold them quite expensive. So if you started Destiny, you paid about $100 to get the full experience, and to be honest with you, they should have sold it all as $60 right off the bat. It should have been included in the previous game. Shouldn't have to pay for it, but can't cry over spilt milk. That's all what it is. Now, Bungie came out and basically admitted that all the content that they did in the first year was basically a beta. Millions of people paid hundreds of dollars or $60 or whatever they paid for it. Different deals, different things. But they basically paid to do a beta. Do we give them kudos again for, now they're fleshing out the game, and now they're hopefully making the game into what they've envisioned it from the beginning? They're still refusing to do matchmaking for raids. I haven't seen any inclination of that feature coming anytime soon. And for me, that's really, really important, because my friends don't have enough time to set up an appointment with each other to go on and do a raid or anything like that. Most of us have different jobs and different times that we work, and it's really hard to find times where all of us can get together, play through a raid. So it would be nice for that matchmaking, so we can at least try the content, so we can at least attempt it. Now, I know that there's those third-party sites out there, but that's ridiculous. Why is your matchmaking pawned off on somebody running a third-party site? It should be in the game. It's stupid that it's not. I don't know why they're not putting it in there. They say that the content's too hard to do with a pickup group. I've played MMOs forever. I've done a lot of raids that are in pickup groups, and yeah, they're not the best, and sometimes you have a crappy experience, but at the end of the day, at least you get to try the content. At least you get to play the content. As of right now, I've played Destiny for the past year or so, and I've fallen off a couple times, but I've never played any of the raids because I never have time to put people together to go do it. I don't want to go to a third-party website and do it, but at least you get to try the content. Bring matchmaking to the game. I'll be a lot happier. My final verdict on is it worth buying or not? With a $40 price tag, The Taken King has a lot to prove before I give it a buy rating, and you should wait for the reviews on this one just to see if the content plans out as advertised. Bungie is really good at riding that hype train. Whoever runs their advertising, one of the best advertisers in the world, he's really good, or she's really good at hyping up the game. Probably too good at it, to be honest with you, because they're writing checks that most of the times the game creators can't cash. Now, I know it sounds hypocritical for saying to wait for it, because I'm going to go pick up a copy, but I'm doing a review on it, and for me, I would rather me spend my money and regret it if that's how it goes, so that you can save your guys' money if it's not worth it. And if it is worth it, the raid doesn't come out until after launch anyway, so you're not missing a ton. The end game isn't going to be launched until after the initial launch, so you're not going to miss a ton. But those are my thoughts on The Taken King. Feel free to let me know in the comment section below if I missed anything, or if you have any comments that you want to add to my video, any retorts, anything like that you want to do. My name is Jay Sector. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. It means a lot to me, and I'll see you guys on my next video.